In the last tutorial, last two tutorials, we worked on the phase 1 semantic representation for 2 Kings chapter 5 verse 7. So I am going to work on the phase 2 for this today. So let's open up TBTA. And I want to go to the Utilities menu item. It's the third one over, Proposition Analysis. And so that comes up. We're on verse 7. I click on the Edit Text button over on the right, paste in this text, click OK. So now I'm going to click on Analyze. So the program does its best, which is sometimes very good and sometimes not so good. So we'll have to check it out and make any corrections. This is a pretty long verse. I'm going to click on Save Analysis, and the reason I did that was just to see if immediately if there were any problems. So it says there's a problem with show A. Do I want to update the case frame? So that means the arguments are wrong. So we always click on no because we want to investigate further. So let's just search for that. That's the implicit info one. Tore that king's in order to show that that king was upset. Okay, so you can see that in order to show here, it's on the 5th line of the phase 2. In order to close show, boy, that got really wrong. Let's fix up that sentence first. First of all, I'm going to click on the clause here and features and put the mouse over the clause features. And if you look down about like the 15th line or so, it says implicit information, implicit cultural information. And I think that's the right one. Let's just check that out. So I'm going to click on the features button, click on the clause boundary for this sentence, and move over to the right. And you see now in this third column showing on the page, implicit information, implicit cultural, situational, historical background. I think cultural is appropriate for this, so we'll just keep that. So the king tore, to tear is to tear something. It's king is routine, contextually near. Up in the phase 1 we see that king, so that's good. Tear is discourse, so it's our normal storytelling time sense. Close of the king, owner's okay. That king's close, and so it's frame inferable because we know it's the close of that king. And tear has an obligatory agent and obligatory patient. So the agent is the king. The king's the one who's acting, and the close of the thing that's acted on. So in order to, so sometimes it does this, and I really don't like the way that we have in order to in our ontology, and I'm going to complain about it to Todd, I guess, but in order to should always use the subject of the main sentence, but okay, that's another thing. So I'm going to put, I copied I clicked on the little white box at the bottom right that has the 2 pages on it. That's the copy button. Then I did, holding down the control button, I'll do it again. Click on senses. I click on the copy button. That's this lower square, the leftmost of the 2 white squares. This one has 2 symbols. That's the copy button. So I'm holding down the control key and I click on the start of the noun phrase with king, and now still holding down the control key, I do a left click on the right bracket. Now I'm going to paste that in front of this bad argument here, which is close. It's the king who's has doing something. The king is doing the showing. Okay, so I'm going to delete the close phrase. So I click on delete words, holding down the control key, which we do for multiple items. I click on the left bracket for the noun phrase with close, and then on the second right bracket after king, because king had its own noun phrase, so that will get rid of that one. Okay, so in order for the king to show something to someone. Now, if you look down, I've got the mouse over show, and if I look down at argument structure in the pop-up down at the bottom, it says Paulus showed the rooster to Agus. So that's not the right sense of show. And maybe it would have come out better in the phase 1 if I had added an argument to show people that the king was upset. It's possible that that would have worked better. Anyway, I'm going to change it in the phase 2. I'm going to click senses, the button just below the copy button. I'm going to click on show, click on the drop-down menu. Okay, so I want B, to show someone that something is true or that something happened. Okay, now let's see the arguments of this show. An obligatory agent, an obligatory patient, and an obligatory patient proposition. Yes, so I should have said people. So I'm going to click on the NP button down in the bottom right. That inserts a noun phrase. I'm going to click on this left clause boundary. That will insert the noun phrase to the left of that, right after show. And then, so something you just have to learn, when you're inserting a phrase, you click on the same item instead of on the clause boundary again. And it put the right bracket. Now I'm going to insert, I clicked on insert word, I click on the right bracket of this new inserted noun phrase, and I'm going to put person. Type that in. It's a human being, that's what I want. This is going to be people in general, so I'm going to click on a new thing list. Because person was already used in the verse, it's going to think it's the same person as the person that was sent. So if you see, if I kill a person, I'm not able to cause that person to become alive again. So we've already used person. So I want a new sense of person. So I'm going to click on the thing list row 10. And now I'm going to click on person up here, show person. Now I want to change the features of that. So I'm going to click on that. And I'm going to make it plural generic. It's generic, it's not any specific person, and it's plural. So he's going to show people that he's upset. And I also have to change the noun phrase here to be a patient noun phrase. I've already selected features, so I'm going to click on the left boundary next to that person, and I'm going to say most patient-like. because, as we found out, this sense of show requires a patient. You've got to show someone that something is true. Okay, so shows that the king was upset. Now, if this fixed the problem, when I click on Save Analysis, it won't give me an error message. And that's what happened. So that did fix that problem. I'm going to click on Edit Text. And just to make the phase one better, I'm going to that king toward that king's clothes in order to show people. If I had typed that in the first place, it might have come out right. Okay, now I'm going to click on Generate, and that might indicate some other problems. So I'm going to click on the Generate problem button. Okay, so let's read what the generated text says. After the king of Israel read the letter, he tore his clothes. He tore his clothes in order to show people that he was upset. Okay, we do have that as cultural implicit information. We already checked that, so that's okay. He said, I'm not God. If I kill a person, I'm not able to cause him to become alive again. This man shouldn't send to me a person who has a very bad skin disease. I'm not able to cause that person to become healthy. This man wants to fight me. Okay, so that's actually pretty good. One of the things I'm thinking is that the thing list argument, we have two persons here, but there actually are three persons in the listed. Okay, so he says, the king showed people that he was upset. Then he said, if I kill a person, I'm not able to cause that person to become alive again. So that would be the first person that was in there at first. But then there's another person. This man should not send a person who has a very bad skin disease. So that's not the same as the person that he perhaps killed. So let's add a new thing list for this person. So I'm going to click in the row 11 of the thing list. This man should not send person, that one there, and then I'm not able to cause that person to become healthy. Okay, so now we've got the three different types of persons distinguished. There are three kinds of persons. There's the generic people that the king is showing that he's upset. Then there's the person that if he kills that person, he's not able to cause that person to become alive again. And then there's the person that was sent to him to be healed, that is Naaman, and he's not able to cause that person to become healthy. So there are these three persons that are referred to in the text. So now the generation was already pretty good, but let's just do a real quick over. I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. So the first clause is independent declarative, and then there's an event clause. So if you put the mouse over the subordinate clause in the first sentence, it should be an event because something like after or when is telling when the main action happened. After is what we wanted. After the king of Israel. Okay, so like I've said before, I'm going to make it realm of instead of, and I'm going to use the nation. So the sense is wrong here. So I'm going to click on senses, Israel the man. We're going to need to change that to the northern nation, not the land. Okay, so there was an original Israel under David and Solomon, but this is the one after the split. when we had Judah as a separate nation. And now I'm going to click on Replace Word, and for region of authority, I'm going to change that to realm of authority for the nation, because I think the king, it's talking about him being the king, is a kind of a political concept. Okay, so the ruler of the people, the king of Israel, read. To read something has an obligatory agent, an obligatory patient, so the patient is the letter. It's routine, it's been talked about before. Third person. After he read the letter, so the king, we've got the same problem because I got the king of Israel. So the easier way to fix this probably is to click on copy. So that's the leftmost of the two white squares at the bottom. I'm going to hold down the control key and I'm going to select realm of authority, holding down the control key, and then Israel. Then I'm going to paste that before region of authority down here. So I pasted that in. Now I've got to delete what it had before region of authority and the wrong sense of Israel, which, oh, it got fixed actually because it was the same thing list marker. Well, if I'd known that, I might have done it differently. Okay, I'm going to click on delete words, and then I'm going to, holding down the control key, click on region of authority, and this is Israel, then click OK. So I've deleted that. Tear requires an agent and a patient. It's discourse or storytelling mood. Patient is the close of the king. Okay, we already fixed this second sentence, so I'll skip past that. Just click on Save Analysis for good measure. Okay, now we have another declarative sentence. You can see in the phase one it says, that king said, I am not God. So this is routine and contextually near is what makes it come out that. And the reason I use that is because we have more than one king in this story, so I'm going to refer to the last king mentioned by using that. Say direct speech is the one. It's a quote, starting a quote, so that's the sense that we want. Discourse is our storytelling mode. The speech should be indicated in a patient clause, and that's what it is, patient clause, open quote. Okay, so this, we have an agent, be equative, in other words, to be something, God. So king be God. The be equative has an obligatory agent, an obligatory state. As I said before, usually with be or have, you have a state argument. So it's a state. If you look at the noun phrase after to be, and God is the creator of the universe. That's God. Okay, so if you look at king, I'm putting the mouse over king, and look down at the features about the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, ninth one is first person. So it's first person singular, that's going to be I. Am, and if you look at those features, look down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, polarity negative. So it's not I am, but I am not God. Okay, good. And I put an exclamation point. Okay, next sentence. In the phase one, it was, if I kill a person, I am not able to cause that person to become alive again. So this should be, again, an event clause because it's telling the circumstances under which he's not able. It's conditional if you go to the party, you might see Mary. That might be the right one. I'm going to click on senses. Okay, I am going to pick hypothetical. This is a hypothetical if. So if hypothetical, because he's not really going to kill someone. So if, and if you hover the mouse over king and look down, it says first person. So I kill. Kill has an obligatory agent, an obligatory patient. So the patient is the, doesn't sound like he should be a patient if you kill him, does it? But in linguistics, the person that's acted on is the patient. Okay, a person, it's a newly introduced person. So you look down at the fifth line and it's first mention. Okay, then this again is first person singular, I. Now be is predicative because it's able is an adjective, but it should be I am not able. So if you look down at these features, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, seventh feature is negative. So that comes out as I am not able. And then this sense of able should be the first one, ability to do something. Talked about that in the last tutorial. Can have a clause argument. Now look at this, this is interesting. So the type of this clause, it says attributive patient. It's an adjectival object complement. So that's the kind of clause you need if you have it modifying an adjective. And notice it's in the phrase, adjective phrase, because we haven't closed off that adjective phrase with a right bracket. So the analyzer did a pretty good job there. It figured out that this was an adjective clause modifier. So the king says, I am not able, king, first person still, to cause. Cause requires a patient subordinate clause. So there's another one, and this one's a patient subordinate clause. Person. We already changed it, so this is the person who would be killed. Noun index 6, if we look up here at this person, it's noun list index 6. And since we already talked about it, if we did that, I've got contextually near, referring to that person, to become alive again. Now this is a predicative adjective phrase because it's after a verb like to be or become. Alive again. Okay, so there's an adverbial phrase here. Excellent. Okay. So the next sentence. In the phase 1, this man should not send a person who has a very bad disease of the skin to me. Okay, so we got man, and I've got contextually near with focus. So that's what comes out this. And that seems appropriate. He's not in sight, so we wouldn't say this person like he can see him. This man send a person or a thing to do some task. It has an obligatory agent, an obligatory patient, and it doesn't have a preposition. So just send a person to me. Okay. Now it got, this person should not send, it says later today. And then the mood, it says should not. So the should not, it got that correct. Should not do something. But I'm going to change, I'm going to click on features and change that to present. Or it could be should not have. Should not have sent. Well, I'll put it present, but we could say in the past tense because he already did it. Should not send a person. So this is a new person that we introduced, so now it's now an index B. This is a restrictive thing modifier. So what kind of person? Well, a person, noun sense B, who has to have a disease, so this is bad is intensified, it's an attributive adjective phrase. Have usually requires a state argument, and this is a state noun phrase. You can see by putting it over there. Disease, a bad disease, so first mention is okay. Of the skin. Generic genitive is okay. The skin. We've already referred, I think, yes, we've already referred to a disease of the skin, so I'll just say routine for that. It has a destination, so send, if we put the mouse over send, it has an obligatory patient, an optional destination. So here's that destination, which is optional. That's why it's a little d there. Or it might be little d anyway. I'm not sure about that. Anyway, it's an optional destination to the king, and it's first person, to me. Okay. The next sentence is, I'm not able to cause that person. I am not able to cause that person to become healthy. Okay, so this is be predicative because he's not able as an adjective. And if we put over the second line, we see the features. And if we look down, it says present tense, time, negative polarity. So I am not. Then here's our adjective phrase. It's predicative because it comes after the verb be. I am not able. And then there's an adjectival complement clause. This is I, king, it's first person, cause, I used routine to contextually near, so it's that person to become healthy. Okay, and that finishes it off. I'm not able to cause that person to become healthy. Then I go back to saying this man, referring to the king of Aram, because that's the way he said it. So it's contextually near with focus. This man wants, so present tense, it's affirmative because he does want. And then this sense of want, to desire to do something yourself. So the man wants the man to fight me. So that is the right sense of want. That sense of want has an obligatory patient preposition. Here's the patient preposition. That this man, so it's contextually near with focus. This sense of fight should be to fight a war. To fight a war. King should be patient argument. Fight has an obligatory agent, obligatory patient. And this is first person, me, exclamation point, quote end, period. That's it. So let's click on generate again. I think it already came out okay, but so I'm not expecting any surprises here for this verse. Okay, it says, after the king of Israel read the letter, he tore his clothes. He tore his clothes in order to show people that he was upset. He said, that's an implicit cultural information, so in a translation for adults, that could be omitted, depending on what the translator chooses. He said, I'm not God. If I were to kill a person, I would be able to cause him to become alive again. So there's a problem there. You see, it said I would. It should be I would not. This man should send to me a, it's not getting should not send to me a person who has a very bad skin disease. I'm not able to cause that person to become healthy. This man wants to fight me. Okay, now I'm suspecting that we actually have it right in the semantic representation and that it's a problem with the generator. Okay, it said, hypothetical. If I killed a person, it's negative. I'm not able to cause that person to become healthy again. And down here, be predicative. If I hover over the second line, it says negative. I am not able to cause that person to become healthy. So the semantic representation appears to be correct to me. I'm wondering if it'll work in English. So let's switch to English. If it doesn't get this right, then I think there's a bug in the generator that needs to be fixed for English. Sorry it takes so long to load English. Okay, so I go to Utilities, Proposition Analysis. Okay, I'm going to go to the Bible, 2 Kings 5, 7. So let's click Generate. There are some things that come out okay in the English. The analyzer language is based on English. If I were to kill a person, I would be able to cause him to become alive again. This man should send me a person who has a very bad skin disease. Okay, I'm not able to heal that person. So that came out right. I'm not able. So it's something about the hypothetical. If I were to kill a person, I would not be able. I'm suspecting that what's going on is we've never had a case like this where we had the hypothetical if and then a negative for the main clause. So that's something that needs to be fixed in the English grammar. Okay, well thank you for listening to today. I will bring that up with Todd to fix that.